Good morning, everybody. Welcome. For those who don't know me, I'm Professor Claire Ozanne and I'm the principal at Heythrop. And it's my delight this morning to welcome you, I'll only speak briefly, to Heythrop's 2018 Summer Conference. So the title chosen for this last Heythrop Summer Conference before the college closes is Let Him Easter in Us, taken, as you well know, from the last verse of Gerard Manley Hopkins' poem, The Wreck of the Deutschland. This poem was the first that Hopkins had written for some years and was penned in response to the sinking in a storm in English waters of the German Deutschland steamship on which 78 passengers were travelling to New York. The passenger manifest included 5 Franciscan nuns who had left Germany as a result of the folk law brought in under Bismarck, laws designed to separate the power of the state from that of the church and resulting in the banning of the Jesuits and other orders. I'd like to refer now for a moment to another poem, written perhaps only 10 to 15 years after Hopkins' Wreck of the Deutschland, by the renowned Canadian poet Emily Pauline Johnson on the subject of Easter. Johnson was born on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario with an English mother and a Mohawk chief father. She drew on both cultures in her writing, and she begins her poem on Easter by speaking of Lent. I'll read the poem in a moment. I have felt very privileged to have been part of the Heythrop community through a period that has felt a little like Lent. At times, rather quiet and sombre, these last 2 years have had some elements of putting our house in order, in preparation for something new, a period of grieving and healing, an opportunity to re-examine our lives, and a time when we have had to be particularly considerate of others and generous in spirit towards our colleagues and our students. Now, as with Easter, we have an opportunity to celebrate all that Heythrop staff, students and governors and alumni have contributed to date and with new endeavours will continue to contribute to the Academy and to society. So here is Johnson's poem. Lent gathers up her cloak of sombre shading in her reluctant hands. Her beauty heightens, fairest in its fading, as pensively she stands awaiting Easter's benediction, falling like silver stars at night, before she can obey the summons, calling her to upward flight. Awaiting Easter's wings that she may borrow ere she can hope to fly. Those glorious wings that we shall see tomorrow against the far blue sky. Has not the purple of her vesture's lining brought calm and rest to all? Has her dark robe had naught of golden shining, been naught but pleasure's pall? Who knows? Perhaps when to the world returning in youth's light joyousness, we'll wear some rarer jewels we found burning in Lent's black-bordered dress. So hand in hand with fitful march, she lingers to beg the crowning grace of lifting with her pure and holy fingers the veil from April's face. Sweet, rosy April, laughing, sighing, waiting until the gateway swings and she and Lent can kiss between the grating of Easter's tissue wings. Too brief the bliss, the parting comes with sorrow. Goodbye, dear Lent, goodbye. We'll watch your fading wings outlined tomorrow against the far blue sky. Heythrop has likewise borrowed Easter's wings, fanning the flames of scholarship, the heat of educational debate and the warmth of community. The staff and students of Heythrop have made an enormous contribution to the intellectual life and the life of the church in this country in a number of ways. through the distinctive way in which we bring theology into dialogue with philosophy and philosophy into dialogue with theology, through the provision of ministerial training in a university context, and through the resources we provide from the Catholic tradition for those of other Christian denominations, of other faiths and of no faith, and the personal approach to education. Heythrop scholars have produced groundbreaking work: Copleston's History of Philosophy, Robert Murray's work on the Syriac Fathers, and Jack Marnie's seminal work on the history of moral theology, for example. Since the year 2000, the turn of the millennium, staff at Heythrop have published more than 120 major monographs and well over 500 articles on topics ranging from analytic theology to Wittgenstein to the early councils of the Church and liberation theology. Colleagues have contributed to debate in areas such as the epistles of Paul and the book of Revelation, the spirituality of St. Teresa and St. John of the Cross, the image of Christianity in modern Islamic thought, religion, reason and science, ethics and psychoanalysis, religious pluralism and interreligious dialogue, anti-realism and expansive naturalism, Christ in the context of climate change, and respect for the dignity of the vulnerable and the value of toleration. Their research has significant impact outside the academic sphere, for example, in the development of interreligious engagement, of new forms of religious expression, and on the ethics of finance and business. In the same period, since the year 2000, over 1,700 undergraduates, 2,300 master's students, and 75 doctoral students have graduated from Heythrop, joining the workforce and contributing to communities all over the UK and around the world. There is therefore much to acclaim and applaud over the next 3 days. I'm just going to say a few thank yous now because I think this is a good opportunity to do that. All of those involved in organising the conference, particularly Michael Barnes, Peter Gallagher, Michael Cohen, Nadim Ahmed, Annabelle Clarkson and many others. To thank in advance all our keynote speakers and all those who are offering papers in the parallel sessions. We wouldn't be doing this without you, so thank you for your support and your contribution. And I'm now going to hand over to Michael Cohen to introduce the conference. Thank you.